Steve and Jill here.
Hello.
Welcome to the Land Academy Show, entertaining land and investment talk. I'm Stephen Jack Butella.
And I'm Jill DeWitt, broadcasting today from gorgeous, sunny South Lake Tahoe.
Today, Jill and I talk about recruiting is your new full-time job.
Oh, I love it, too.
What does that mean? What it means is this. Congratulations, you've done enough deals, and this is now your career, buying and selling real estate, and you need some help.
Yeah.
And man, is getting the right help imperative.
It's true.
To making this a full-time gig. We are literally at 11 to 1. For every 11 people we hire, one person sticks. It's tough. So we're going to talk a little bit in the show about what we've learned. We're going to share our positive stuff and some of the negative stuff, and hopefully you can learn from it.
Mm-hmm.
Before we do that, let's take a question posted by one of our members on the landacademy.com online community. It's free.
Okay. Sarah asks, "Hi all. When selling a property, I typically send the deed straight to the county to be recorded for my buyers, but occasionally they request I send it straight to them, or I've met a few people who purchased lots locally and gave them the deed. There are around 8 people who just never got the deed recorded, and I continue to get their tax bill. Some are about to lose the property. I've contacted all of them, letting them know a few times, but I don't want to spend much time on it.
Yep.
A few just lost the paperwork, so I would resend it, but I was wondering, how often do any of y'all buy back the lots from people? One of the guys who bought locally called this week and said he's low on cash and would sell it back to me for half what he paid for the property. Well, then
we met.
Well, we met, sorry. Got it and got the notarized deeds back, and I paid the taxes on it and will resell. Can't complain about that.
Yeah.
Does this happen to many of you? And do you find it usually a cash thing and people are willing to sell it back to you?
I love when people ask questions and then they answer it for themselves.
This is true.
This is exactly what we do. You can bank on 5 to 15% of the properties that you deed to other people. They just never record the deed. What you don't want to do is sell it again. I'm not even going to go into why. There's a 1,000 reasons why you shouldn't do that. But if you want to send them a check,
can I back up on
we
this
just
here?
pay them for the back taxes is what we do sometimes. Go ahead, Joe.
That was confusing to me, so I want to reiterate. So what we're saying is these examples are people that didn't record the deed. So they said, no, just send it to me and I'll get it into the county. Or maybe that's your policy. Your policy is you send them out the completed deed with the recording instructions for them to then turn around, mail it to the county, get all recorded, and now the transaction's over with. So there's 2 parts to talk about here. So sometimes what happens is these people have their deed, you send it to them, they don't even read what's in the recording instructions. They file it away in their envelope in the safe with all their important documents, and that's it.
It never gets recorded in the county.
And what happens is they never get the tax bills, and there's no light bulb that's even going off. They think they own this property, which technically they do, but because the deed has been signed and notarized, so it is their property, it's not yours. But the assessor doesn't know you completed this document, and the recorder, and it's still in your name, so you're still getting the tax bills. So that's what's going on here with Sarah. Sarah's going, uh-oh. The tax bills are still coming to me. I'm obviously not paying the taxes because I sold it to Mr. Smith. Mr. Smith doesn't know what's happening right now because he's not on their radar. He didn't record it. He doesn't know he's about to lose a property. So she's reaching out to Mr. Smith to tell him. So this is a tough one. So what Stephen was just saying, you never want to resell the property, right? You can't. It doesn't mean like, oh, he forgot about it, now it's mine, I'm going to sell it again. No, you can't do that.
There's some serious legal ramifications for that.
It's stealing.
Yeah, I mean, it's
it really kind of
worse than
is.
that.
It's so you can.
It's real estate fraud.
Yeah. So yeah, this is true. They come after people that used to do that as a scam years ago.
Yeah.
So you have to be careful too. You got to keep track of your properties because you don't want to accidentally. This is the thing too. We've had this. You have so many tax bills that come in every year. You have to really go through them and make sure, like, don't just throw it in there because there's a tax bill. Think I forgot about it. No, you need to go through and make sure, yes, we do still own that one. Okay, I will pay attention to this tax bill. Or no, I'm not going to even think about this tax bill because I don't own it. I don't need to worry about this property. So a couple things you can do here. And I like I really appreciate Sarah going above and beyond and trying to tell the people and reach out to them and go, hey, Mr. Smith, you need to know this. You bought this from me. You obviously didn't record it. It's now 4 years have passed and we're starting to get these notices, and it's behind on taxes. They're going to start proceedings in another year or whatever it is. You got to catch up with this. And hopefully then they're going to go, oh, thank you, goodness. And then they're going to go and have it recorded, pull it out of their safe, find your instructions, and it's good to go. That's one scenario. The second scenario is what I think Sarah's saying. What's happening is they're going, oh, well, heck. Okay, I don't even want the property anymore. You want to buy it back from me. And I think that's where you were saying, don't just say, okay, we'll call it a wash. No, you want him to now do a new deed, putting it back in your name. And I would take both of those deeds. I would tell Mr. Smith, okay, let's do a new deed where you're deeding it back to me on this date. I'm going to pay you this amount of money. You send me both these deeds, and I'm going to record it. So it's all... The transfer of title is all
I wouldn't
correct. You wouldn't do that?
No, I would say, send me back the original deed unsigned or unrecorded. I'm going to shred it. And
all right, we could do that.
There's no paperwork. And, but
I would still have him sign something. I want something saying that this all occurred.
Sign a release.
Some kind
absolutely do a single page. I would do a release. So we have everybody sign a release, by the way.
Right. Just to make sure we're covering everybody's.
Even when we send a deed to seller, they sign a release saying they hold us harmless for anything and everything. And it's part of what the notary just notarizes.
Right. So, but that's interesting. So, Sarah, I want to see the rest of that question. Sarah had some more parts to that question. Does this happen to many of you? Probably not that often, but it does happen sometimes.
Every year it happens to us a few times for sure.
It's no big deal.
We don't deal with lower end property as much anymore. So this happens when you do your own. This is when you don't use an escrow agent and when your property value is less than $5,000. So that's not our MO as much. Right. That's a big benefit to doing larger deals. Not only do you make more money, and everybody's more excited to get bigger checks, but also you use an escrow agent, so none of this stuff happens.
I felt bad for those folks that whatever it was, they weren't able to take advantage of the property, and now they're in some kind of a pickle, And I hate undercutting them, but if they offered, and I'm really getting them out of a jam, I would do it.
I'll tell you where you're dead right, Sarah, is this. Don't spend a bunch of time on this. You have enough stuff to do. Send them an email and say, you know what? I got the tax bill. It's year number 2. I got your tax bill again. You clearly don't want the property. So how about I just take it? This is what I've done in the past. How about I just pay the taxes and you send me the old deed. You send me the unrecorded deed. I'm going to shred it and I'll pay you taxes and you just forget it. And most people will do that.
Maybe.
Is that taking advantage of them? I don't know.
I don't know. I would still give them something for the property. That's kind of one of my things. So, but that's why we're different, and it's good.
I don't really even work in my own company anymore. So whatever you guys do, keep doing it, okay?
That's half of this show. He thinks this is how it goes, but whatever. Don't tell him.
These shows end up being our weekly meetings, too.
This is true.
This is where I find out what's going on.
Yeah, that's not how we do it at all, Stephen. But okay. Go, you keep on thinking that.
In 2003, that's exactly how we did this.
Exactly. Phew, that's great, babe.
Today's topic, recruiting. Congratulations, you're so successful. Recruiting is now your new full-time job. Here's why, this is the meat of the show. Here's where I got this title. So I was watching this old interview with Steve Jobs, and they were asking him, this is toward the end of his life, they said, what's the deal? Like, what is it so difficult for you? Is it the technology? Is it the sales piece? Is it having a public company? There's a million moving parts to this, and he, without flinching, said recruiting. He said, recruiting is my full-time job. I don't do anything in my own company anymore. All I do is find good people to be department heads so that they can do recruiting. Finding people is way, way more difficult than I ever thought, Joe. Mm-hmm. Like I said in the earlier part of the show, we're 11 to 1.
And it's not 11 to 1 that we hire and they're full-time on our staff. It's just there's a lot of weeding out that you have to do. So we don't fire 10 people and keep one.
Outsources, virtual assistants, even like companies, marketing companies. We go through 10 of them before we find the one that's right.
That's more accurate. I'm getting really, it takes a long time. I'm getting better now. Much better. Thanks. About some of the key people in our staff. But I hear you. You're right. The main point is that the numbers don't matter. What does matter is this is a full-time job sometimes. When you need to replace someone, you're trying to grow, you're trying to build something, it takes a lot of time. Writing a good description, posting and weeding out the people and meeting the people. Are they really a good fit? Do they accurately portray themselves? Do they really know what they're talking about? Do they fit in with your corporate culture? There's so many things.
Here's a few things that I've failed at personally. You hire somebody and they do a good job, and then great, that person, you did a good job in marketing, let's say. Well, maybe you can build a website for us. No, that's completely out of their talent, and then they fail at it, and you're like, you can't do it. And it's that I personally I've stopped doing it years. I've stopped doing that, but you want to make sure what you're hiring. First of all, you want to know, like Jill said, you want to know what you're hiring for. You want to write a good description and hire the person. Make sure the person has some experience. As crazy as Captain Obvious as it sounds, make sure they have some, identifiable, checkable experience succeeding before you hire them.
Yeah, if they're marketing, ask what they've done. Go look at their stuff.
Here's a few other things if you're actually hiring full-time employees, and I learned this the hard way. Only hire people that live maybe less than 5 to 8 miles from where you are. Commutes and car time and all that, it kills. It's just such a hard. You're not doing anybody any favors. It's so. I know you have 10 of these things, Jill. What other suggestions would you have about hiring people? Commuter times.
Well, one of the things that we've do sometimes, depending on the position, is we'll have a 2-week trial period, and it's a 2-week trial period for us and for them. And we don't even put them on payroll yet. It's like we're just doing cash checks, like as
1099.
Yeah, 1099 pay, like consulting for the first couple weeks. And I think that we've had some people that have appreciated that also, because I want them to fit in with us, and I want us to fit in with them.
Yeah.
It's a two-way street. I am sure that there are people out there who would not appreciate the way we work, because some of our stuff is some of it's we have fun. Some parts are relaxed, some parts are kick-ass. It's never a dull moment around here. Most of our employees wear a lot of different hats. So a good example is if you're set up to be a telephone answering person and just take messages and be like a receptionist, and that's all you want to do, and you never want to grow, you wouldn't make it in our community, in our office. When we hire people, one of the things we're looking for is growth. Yeah. I'm really looking for people that want to be here, want to learn, want to better themselves, and I'll do that. One of the things I tell every person on our staff is, if you find some education, some training, some certifications out there that you want to take that's going to better you and your career and help us too, I'm in, man. I'll pay for it all day long. Yeah, and I'll give you company time to do it. Let's fit it in. Not like, hey, I'm only doing this week, but we'll fit in, an hour a day, whatever it takes, because you're gonna now be my 365 expert, just for example. Yeah. And now I can stop outsourcing some stuff in that area, or struggle. That's great. I love that.
Jill and I are big fans of not micromanaging anything.
True.
And not training. As crazy as that sounds, we don't have any training program. If you're going to come on, let's say as marketer or IT, I need you to sit down in the seat and start the whole thing up.
That's kind of
and look at our stuff and make it better. That the first day.
You know what? And you're right. In 2003, that's how it went.
Oh, is it all different now?
It's all different now.
Is it really?
Yes, it is.
You guys do training?
Yes, we do.
Wow.
Yes, we do. Here's an example. I'll give you an example. Offers to owners for folks that Jen, the girl who used to run our offers to owners division of one of our companies, has moved to a different state. And
her husband got dramatically promoted in the military.
Exactly. So it's Jen.
It's a good thing, not a bad thing.
I know. It was a very positive thing for her. And Jen might come back. We're waiting to see how much free time she has. And Jen might be still being able to work for us remotely in other ways, which is really great. So, but the point is, Jen, we spent a lot of time finding, interviewing, testing, hiring the person that we have now. And there was a week to 2 weeks of training, full on, scheduled out training transition for that person. It's not like Jen just threw him the keys.
Right.
So that's that. And it really, really, in some of these instances, really pays off. So there may be other ways that other parts of our business or just in business that people can figure out on their own. It's like figure out the phone system, I'm not going to hold your hand, kind of thing. Maybe not so much train on that, but some of the other things we do train, and it really, because it saves time in the end.
In the end, yeah. So to summarize, never outsource the stuff that you should not be outsourcing. Like, for instance, doing the mailers. I will forever do the mailers myself.
Right.
But for everything else that you've identified as just being a task, let's say, hire the right person. You're only as good as your people and how they make you look on the internet at this day and age.
That's true.
Join us tomorrow for another interesting episode where we discuss no one finds new acquisition markets like you do.
And answer your questions posted on landinvestors.com, our free online community.
You are not alone in your real estate ambition. Good stuff, Jill.
Hope I didn't just take that over and turn it upside down.
I was just going to thank you because the truth is I'm not there every day. I'm not there every once a month, really, in those companies. So, what you guys do and however you have overcome, we had a pretty bad period for a while, probably under my direction. Some tough people working for us that just didn't, they flat out lied about what they were capable of throughout the interview process.
Maybe that's part of it, and I hate to. I'm not picking on you in any way.
No, I don't.
But
go ahead, pick on me.
Maybe that I'm a little more in tune with that, and I can spot it a little bit easier. Because I think that's what's happened. I can think of one employee from last fall that was released because she really did misrepresent what she's capable of, and I was not really able to spend the time with her initially, and I wonder if I would have smoked that out. So
I'm sure
I may or may not have. But thank you for the compliment. Yeah. So I appreciate that. Share the fun by subscribing on iTunes or wherever you are listening. And while you're at it, please rate us there. We are Steve and Jill.
Information
and inspiration
to buy undervalued property.